one of my favorite things about doing these with you, okay, is how so in the moment it is, off the cuff. Like, let's just jump in on a subject, okay? So for those who can't see this but are just listening, we're both sitting here wearing 40-pound weight vests, okay? like heavy. Okay?
Already feel it.
You feel it. They're sitting here with these on. And we were going to get together to do this today, and I just said, Phil, I said, bring your vest, okay? And I had no idea how I'd use it or how we'd use it, but I just somehow knew it was going to have something, okay? And so here we are, and I think it matters, okay? And here we are. So here, I'll tell a story about this weight vest I'm wearing, and I'm going to take it off because it's 40 pounds. It's heavy, okay? But if you're watching, you can see it, okay? If you can't, we're wearing 40-pound weight vests. So here's where the story starts. The story starts for me with my cancer journey, okay? And I had a form of cancer that was probably not going to kill me, but it was so treatable that they were going to be pretty aggressive with the chemo. And they even said to us, the return on investment on this chemo is so high, we're going to almost kill you to kill the cancer, and we just might push you over the edge. We're going to try not to. And
thanks for that.
Thanks for that. And they did push me over the edge, and at one point it was a point of no return, and we all thought I was gone. Okay, and here I'm sitting here. But there were a lot of casualties along the way, and one of them was, I'm not wearing them right now, but I shot a lot of my hearing. I wear hearing aids from the chemo, and I had this thing called chemotherapy-induced neuropathy, which means I lost a lot of feeling in my feet, and it's really painful sometimes to walk. So where I was even 3-4 years ago, post-cancer, was I could barely walk to my mailbox. I was in so much pain walking. And I remember being in my yard just trying to kick a soccer ball around with my grandson, and I was tripping and falling down, and my feet were getting worse progressively. And the doctors even said, you know what? You're probably going to lose your feet at some point. There's nothing you can do about it. The nerves have died in your feet. Actually, what happened was the blood flow, my blood vessels in my feet died from the chemo, or kind of like just got mangled or destroyed, which then that stopped feeding the nerves blood, which then the nerves died. And that's the problem with your feet. So fast forward, I just didn't believe what I was hearing from the doctors, that there was nothing I could do. And so I just said, well, you know, the body does want to heal itself, so I'm going to do everything I can to help my body heal itself. So one of the things I started doing, okay, was I started walking almost every night. And it started out, I was just walking. First I walked past my mailbox to the stop sign, and then it was past the stop sign to my other neighbor's house and back, and that was what I could do. And then what I started doing, and by the way, I was wearing these shoes called Zero shoes that have no arch, no padding. They're like almost like barefoot. So I was trying to make my feet work, okay, to get stronger, even though I was limping, it was painful. So here's the bottom line then. I worked up to now where I do that same walk 2 miles a night, and I wear this 40-pound weight vest. So I'm not saying I reversed the neuropathy, but I can just tell you, this summer I was climbing I was going up Bear Valley. It sounds like a valley, but it's actually a mountain that looks over the valley, with my best friend in Anchorage, Alaska. I'm walking, 2 miles in my neighborhood with a 40-pound weight vest, and my feet have gotten stronger. Okay, so that's the story about me wearing this. Now, I've been doing this now for several years, probably about 3 years I've been doing this, okay? So now you pick up on your side about why you're wearing one, because this is all really new.
Yeah.
It's kind of part of where I thought, hey, you bring your vest in, because this is just about a week old for you, okay?
Yeah,
So tell that story.
Well,
I'm going to take mine off.
oh, great.
I'm tired of wearing it. You tell your story wearing it. This thing is heavy. Oh, my God. All right, go ahead, Phil. I still can't. Oh, God, that feels amazing.
Dramatic takeoff. Part of my story, the panoply of addictions that I imbibed in for years, in my 20s, actually, a young guy, one of them was overeating. And Dan Sumrock, we've mentioned him on previous podcasts about addiction. He said that the true definition of addiction is a compulsive, ritualized comfort seeking is what addiction is. And I my entire life, I had sought great comfort in eating, in food. So it's impossible to be a food addict. It's like being an oxygen addict. No, you literally need it. But I was addicted to what food did for me And my abuse of food was in overeating. So I suffered morbid obesity. I was over 300 pounds at one point. And so part of my recovery journey, and actually, which, as you know, Jeff, is inextricably linked to emotional, relational, spiritual health, mental health, I started exercising as a part of my overall recovery program from a lot of other addictions too. Yeah. And so that became part of my routine. That was over 35 years ago, and I have continued to do different kinds of workouts to maintain a level of physical fitness. And you and our old guys now, you and I are both reminded of that very often. Almost exactly the same age.
We're about a month apart.
Yeah, we're 23 days apart in age. So we're, we have to do more than a lot of people, than we used to have to do that. And so I had bought one of the famous name brand exercise bikes, as did you. Yeah. Several years ago now for me, and reached a plateau. It stopped working like it did before. And so I got to find something else. And so I said, hey, Jeff wears a weighted vest. He walks, and you and I have been talked about that a lot with your cancer recovery. So I called you, and now I'm in the weighted vest world.
Okay. So here's why I picked up on this. It's because this has only been about 10 days maybe, because you've ordered it. Now you've been wearing it a few times. Mm-hmm. But here's what I've noticed now because of that. And it wasn't true before, but it is true now. I've got a routine where I walk down at the bottom of the steps into my garage. I got a place where I sit that vest. Okay. I got the sort of the flashlight I carry with me when I'm walking at night, the reflective stuff I put on top of it so I don't get run over by a car in my neighborhood. I do all this stuff. I got a little bit of a routine, okay? And now, take yours off. Those are heavy, man. They're heavy, okay? They're heavy. So here's what I've noticed this week, and this is why I wanted to do this, is when I go down now to put that vest on, I think of you every time. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't think of you before, okay? But I think of you now. Yeah. And I don't know if I go every time. I slip that. And in fact, a couple times I've even taken a picture, or I've texted you and I said, hey, you're getting it done, and then you text me back, show me a picture of you, and kind of have some fun with it. But even if we hadn't traded those selfies, okay, getting ready to go out and walk with my vest on, okay, even just the act now of putting it on, I know you have one. In fact, you ordered the same one even. But you're connected in my brain to something I've been doing for 3.5 years probably, okay, that I've done not legalistically, but pretty committed to go, I don't want to be in a wheelchair, and I'm going to have to work to not be. Now you're part of it, and it's a lot, I don't know, I feel connected to you in something I'm doing simply because now I know you're wearing another vest, and we've shared that with each other. Yes. And that's where I thought there's something to that, that now you're in my brain when I put this on, and it's I say it's rational. It's in there that I know you're doing it, but somehow it's emotional too, that I feel connected to you putting on a weight vest to go walk in my neighborhood. And by the way, we live 50 minutes away from each other. Right. We're not walking in the same neighborhood. We're not walking together, but somehow we're walking together.
Yes. Yes. Theorists call that, sounds fancy, theorists call that object relations. It means we're human, and we're tactile humans, and we're limbic, emotional, relational, connecting humans, and tangible things really mean something. Like I don't know how many of those they produced the day they produced my vest, but that's the one they sent to me. And that means that vest reminds me of you, the same thing. And so often people, we call them keepsakes. Someone that we love dies, and we have a keepsake. And when I see this object, this keepsake, it reminds me of someone or something that means something to me. It has more value than just the object itself. I am not handy with my hands. I'm not a carpenter. I've got a friend. I say he's helping me rebuild my deck. I'm actually watching him do it and asking questions. But I was helping him hammer some things, or he was hammering one area, I was another. And I went to my tiny little toolbox in my garage, and I got a hammer. It was my dad's hammer, who was very handy with his hands. And so I'm building that deck. I'm thinking about him, having memories of him. I wasn't thinking about him necessarily when we started, but I started thinking like, gosh, what would my dad think about me doing this? Because my reputation growing up was like, well, he's not interested in that. He's not good at it. Yeah. But so that hammer, I don't know what it costs retail, probably in the 70s, but it has great value to me because here I was hammering a nail in Murfreesboro, Tennessee in 2026. My dad passed away in 2005 and had that hammer as long as I have memory. That hammer's been, quote, in our family. So something simple like that bonds me and him because we have a relationship. A weight vest bonds me with you because things mean something.
Things mean something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, even in my marriage, okay. By the way, you know me pretty well. If anyone that walks in my office knows there's nothing in my office that doesn't mean something to me.
For sure.
Now, some people, one of my best buddies came through town and came to my office, and he didn't love my office because to him it looked cluttered. Okay, my good buddy Jeff, it was cluttered to him, even though it's not pack radish looking. There's just things in there that if I describe what they are, I can see them in my mind, and I position things in my office where I'm sitting that there's certain things I want to look at during the day because of the people that I'm connected to in that Texaco truck or those 50-year-old slot cars that were my older brothers, or things like that around my office, or the oil can that was my grandpa's. Those kind of things that I have in my office. My wife Brenda, on the other hand, okay, when it comes to those kind of things, she's the one that's always wanting to declutter, and I would say we had to talk about this last night. We don't want to burden our kids with having to deal with my clutter, not her clutter, because she's always getting rid of stuff. I mean, I'm looking in the garbage to see what she got rid of that I didn't want her to get rid of. Okay, so there's somewhere in there. Talk about that for a second. Like there's somewhere in there where it's like you can be. Way over here, you got someone who's a hoarder.
Yeah.
But over on this side, you go someone who has no connection to anything. And then I look sometimes and I go, and Brenda and I are kind of trying to find this dance between. I tend to carry so much into things, and yet then sometimes my life gets cluttered. But she has a lot more freedom to get rid of stuff, and it's not that stuff doesn't mean anything to her. I mean, just speak to that around this whole idea about objects.
There's so many tie-ins there. You know, the Old Testament in particular, raising altars and monuments to God's Ebenezer stones, to God's faithfulness to the people. That's an example of that. I have a cheap, as far as art goes, it's terrible. It's a picture of the Smoky Mountains. It's just like tacky.
Yeah.
And grew up in Georgia. Growing up, we would go on vacation in the Smoky Mountains, and that was a couple of weeks a year that things felt like they were at peace in my family. And so selling that painting on the markets, a couple of bucks at a garage sale, I wouldn't part with that thing for anything. And so it's a keepsake for me. When I look at that picture in my office, it reminds me of serenity and peacefulness and fun and beauty. So based on all that, like your office, my office, the things that we look at, things that we keep dear, there's a key question, and you and I have used this with people for years therapeutically, but it's the same question applies to stuff, whether you're like Brenda and you're willing to get rid of stuff just so you don't have clutter, or more like you and me that kind of holds on to things and wants it around, and other people, like our friend Jeff, walks in and goes, this is clutter. The difference is the question, what is it for? Like hoarding, people are generally speaking, when that hoarding is a pathological thing, hoarding has to do with, I have to have this stuff because I am so tied to scarcity and anxiety and hypervigilance that to get rid of something feels like I'm letting go of something that gives me life.
Letting go of something gives me life. Say more about that.
You know, a person that's really pathological and hoarding, that this great level of fear that comes up on them. What if I need this? Or what if I need to refer to this? And what if? And it's unreasonable to the left brain, like thinking wise. It's like, you're never going to need a Time magazine from 1974. You're literally not ever going to need that. But there's something, it's not about what they're keeping. It's about how scary it is to throw it away.
Okay, so here's where I go with that. And this is where some of the conversations I've had with Brenda about even some of the stuff that I have that maybe belonged to my mom or belonged, I remember growing up in the house I grew up in or something like that. And she'll say, Jeff, look at it, have the memory, which really means have some feelings about that,
Yeah, for
or the
sure.
person that connects you to. And she says, and then you can let it go, but you don't have to keep it. There's something in me, and it really has some attachment issues around my story, around that scarcity thing. Somehow I get afraid that if I let go of the thing, I'm letting go of the memory or the person or that sense of connection. Like my mom kept score. She had 6 kids. She kept all the baseball books, the softball books of every game my siblings played, I played. So when she passed away, I had a stack of score books about every ball and strike and every inning of baseball I played all the way up into college. And she had all that. And I looked at them. I'm looking at lineups of when I was in high school or middle school even, whether I was 2 for 4, 3 for 4. Oh, I hit a home run. Oh, I struck out right there. I'm looking at all of this, okay? And I'm looking at a stack of books, and I had to let go of them.
Yeah.
But something in me thinks I'm letting go of it.
Yes.
And then I'm never going to have it again because it's gone. So there's a grieving. I have a harder time letting go. Now, part of I like this about myself. There's a healthy part to go, I like having stuff around me that I have feelings about because I have feelings about that thing, which is why I want it. But then there's another part of me where I'm not able sometimes to say, have the feeling, have the memory, and you can let go of the thing and still have the memory.
Yeah.
And that's where I think I tend to be more on the collect side. And Brenda seems a little bit healthier on she can let go of it side.
Right.
But I go back to, it matters not because I have a rational thought about that thing, but when I look at it, I feel something. And that's why I kind of still want it around. And sometimes too many things around.
Yeah. That gets into the neuroscience of grief in some ways, how we orient around things. We have orientation around how things look, what we feel. You've heard the example, of if you're in your house and it's pitch black, you'll know where you're going in your own house by what you bump into. And so metaphorically, when someone dies, we don't bump into them anymore. It's disorienting. It's So just this past weekend, we went down to a family reunion down in Northeast Mississippi, and that's where I spent my first 7 years. And there's a house I lived all those 7 years in when I was growing up that my grandparents lived in after we did. And we were driving by that house, and it's not like I remembered it to be. Probably last time I was there was probably 8 or 10 years ago. And I drove past the house. I didn't realize I had driven past it, and I couldn't find it because all the landmarks were gone. There used to be a pasture with trees, and now there's a business there. And so it was very disorienting. And so when we throw something away, old score books from baseball in your case, Jeff, we throw something away, we need to be prepared for how disorienting it is for a while. And you said something beautiful. You said, I can throw that away and I keep the memories. And so at some point, if I have to change not wearing a weighted vest anymore because my body adjusted that, I'm doing something else, it may not be as dramatic as scorebooks that your mom had, and she used her own hand to write with that pencil in the scorebook, but I will need to go through, maybe subtle, some form of, this was the first weighted vest I got to kind of partner up with Jeff in this. And so what you're saying is a very beautiful thing about how I believe a biblical lens around stuff. Around things. Like I can let go of the thing as I'm keeping the memories, having feelings about the memories, and recognizing that I'm going to enter into a season of disorientation. When we declutter, you and I are more alike than Brenda and Sheila are. They're more alike in willingness to get rid of stuff, so to speak. And so it's very important that guys like me, people like me and you, as we let go, we hang on to the memory of what those things meant and prepare ourselves. It will be very disorienting until we get reoriented to not having it.
I feel less lonely on my walk now knowing that you're walking with the vest.
Yeah, isn't that something?
And that's the part where I love talking about this because I go, there's actually I'd say a healthy part, a human part of, it's not about the thing, it's about the feelings that I have that thing evokes.
Yes.
That actually and this is what we're doing. We talk about this in the podcast all the time, is that's actually what connects us in relationships. Mm-hmm. It's not the rational part of our brain.
That's right.
It's the emotional part of us, which is why I also think even sometimes in our spiritual life, our relationships with God, whatever, it can't just be a rational thing.
Yeah.
There's got to be some kind of emotional connection with even God. Otherwise, we have no real relationship with Him that's meaningful. That there's a part of us it's God-made part of us that actually allows us to connect, which is the emotional part of us, which is why I look and I kind of go, I like the fact that I'm less alone on that walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're with me even though you're 50 minutes away.
That's exactly right. That gets into a whole nother topic that I think we probably deserves another whole episode. So let's pin that, because you're talking about something that has far-reaching ramifications relationally with my own identity, with other people, and with God. And in the meantime, if you're listening, watching this at some point, I just want people to start paying attention. What are the things in your house, in your office, in your attic, wherever it is, as you pay attention to these things, rather than deciding to throw it away or to keep it, which you could decide that too, just pay attention to what does that object mean to you?
What's it mean to you?
What's it mean to you?
And I just would put this on there because this is what I'm also thinking, is because it's never the thing. Mm-hmm. In fact, that's why if the thing itself is not connected to something relational, it's just a thing.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a lie that says it's going to satisfy you, but it can't because it's just the next vest.
That's right.
It's not Jeff and Phil. Mm-hmm. And I was made for Jeff and Phil, not for the latest, greatest weight vest or the next model of whatever car I'm driving or the next upgrade on my house or all these things that promise connection and promise satisfaction, but it's always fool's gold or a mirage. At the end you go, well, now what? Yeah. And that's where I think I love the way you frame that, to go, just be curious about about those things, because there's some beauty in it. That's why you even said the Scripture's full of things that we're given to remember our connection and attachment to God and to each other.
Yes, they're, to bring those together, that idea together, one of the most valuable things that I have, and it's no different than any other Bible that was produced that day, is my grandfather's Bible. Mm-hmm. And one of the things he did, one of my enduring memories, is every single night that I ever spent with them, he sat at his kitchen table and he read his Bible. And he had a pair of glasses that the right lens was missing out of.
Oh, my goodness.
And part of his thing was he would read aloud a passage and then scratch his eye through that
Through
thing.
the lens? Or through the no lens?
Just to be funny.
What a picture.
Isn't it great?
Oh, yeah.
And so I see that on my shelf. It's upstairs in our bonus room. And I look at that Bible and I remember how he was paying attention to me by being funny. It was funny the 100th time he did it as much as it was the first. Yeah. He would just, read a passage and just casually scratch his eye through that missing lens. But that's a picture to me of affection and kindness and safety and sweetness and relationship. And so we attach these meanings to things that.
Well, it's not materialism. That's what we're distinguishing here. It can be that, but it's also about this deep, deep longing in all of us. Yeah. That's God made, which is to connect and to attach in relationships. That stuff can be a part of that, or it can actually be a distraction. Okay. And let's just do this a two-part. We'll come back. There's so much more to talk about on this. And I'm not going to put that waist vest back on today. We're done for that. Okay.
Yeah, we're done with that.
We'll pick this up in a minute.
We'll do it.
Thanks again for joining us on Return to Heart. To access resources mentioned on this program or to find out more about Tin Man Ministries, please go to tinman.org.